たとえそれが千歳作らしいやり方じゃなかったとしても。そうだったな。今じゃないし、こうじゃない。助けておまわりさん！藤子の優等生がヤンキーに絡ま...
Chitose in a Ramune Bottle, episode number 7. Have you guys heard the term try hard? That's really what I'm feeling about this show at this time. Now, I'm going to be complimentary of the end of the episode because I do think it did something very, very well. The rest of the episode, though, I think was terrible. I think it's bad writing. I think the beginning of the video, I said, have you heard the term try hard? I think that's exactly what this show is trying too hard. And when it tries too hard, when shows try too hard to, I don't know if it's be different. I don't know if it's trying to make Saku as an MC like this enigma of intelligence that the author can't tell if he's really intelligent or if he's stupid. It ends up being messy. So let me start with the positive and then I'll get to the negative. And if you just came for the rating, I think this episode was a 6 out of 10. So the positive, what makes up most of that rating, which is 6, right? If we think of like, okay, the good stuff make up the good rating and the bad stuff take away from it. The good stuff is I actually do genuinely think and really like the way that he handled the bullies. The bullies, the stalkers, you know, the stuff that Nanase, Yuzuki, whatever her name is dealing with. I really love the way that he dealt with it. And I think that is he handled it in a way that I can imagine myself or maybe somebody I know. I can picture a couple of dudes who are very, in that moment, at least similar, who would handle it a certain way. For the most part, that might be how I handle it too, you know, and just thinking about the situation that he was in. It depends how much, whatever the words they're saying, I think they called her an easy bitch. I was like, I think that probably would have sent me over. I don't know. It just depends on how my day's going. And I typically am I'm a pretty non-angry person. Even when I was a younger dude, I got pushed over the edge a couple of times, but it took a bit to get there. So I don't know. It really depends on how angry I get in that moment. But I can imagine myself dealing with the situation like he did. And that's kind of why I'm like, okay, I like it, right? These two dudes come, they talk a big game. They talk a lot of shit about Nanase, and I don't know, you know, whoever needs to hear this, and I don't think any of you do, but I think a lot of, especially males, need to realize, like, being aggressive in the sense that they are, being dicks, being assholes, in that sense, like being, just being really gross is not going to get the girl. Now, girls do like bad boys and assholes and stuff like that. But if you're coming at them, calling them like names and saying that they're easy, and like if you're talking a lot of shit, there's no girl in the world that's going to give you the time of day. Like that's abusive, and that's like maybe there's one out there, but it's very, very, very rare. Like it's like 0.001%, you know, like that you're going to have a chance if you start taking like, what do they expect to get out of this? She's not going to go with them. And if she sleeps with them, it's not going to be, it won't be like, she won't agree to it, if you know what I mean. So I like the way that, you know, in that moment, Saku's like, okay, take a step back, talk the shit out of this dude. And I was like, yes, brother, do that. He didn't though, you know, he's like, okay. He's like, that's not going to resolve this issue. He's like, he took a step back. And he's like, all right, I'm going to run, you know, I'm going to run my mouth. I'm going to, you know, be a little mouthy, and I'm going to call for help. You know, I'm going to be really dramatic, you know, because when you're trying to protect your girl, being embarrassed doesn't matter. And I was like, yeah, that's right. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, who gives a crap what anybody thinks or says? So I like that he took a moment back. He screamed for help. You know, some other dudes came and they're like, yo, we got a problem here. And he's like, okay. So he handled the situation. Now, I do think he's going to have to fight these guys. he's gonna have to lay out hands, whether he can fight or not, whether he gets his ass, whatever. He's gonna have to throw hands with these dudes. Like, I don't think he's gonna get out of the situation. That's my personal thought. Is these dudes seem like you're gonna have to fight them. You know, whether you get your buddies, you know, whether you get some backup, whether you get your homies, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, whether you jump them first, you know, and that's probably the angle I would take. Is I'd probably grab a couple of the homeboys, you know, depending if it's just these two dudes, I'd probably grab, you know, 2 or 3. And I think we go jump them. You know what I mean? I think that's the play. It's like we wait for them out of school. We jump them. That's the play for me. You know what I mean? You really, like, you lay down your rules. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. You know, Sako, again, there's moments where I'm like, oh, he's super intelligent. He would get this. And there's other moments where I'm like, he might let this ride. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. I highly doubt that situation would happen, but that's what should happen. And I think he has enough friends who probably would, you know, come and back him up. That would do that. You know what I mean? So that's what ends up happening. He decides to take the higher, you know, he takes the high route and he gets out of the situation. All right, that's all fine and dandy. So what didn't I like about the episode? Let me just wrap it up, and I won't spend a lot of time talking about this. I'll just say this. He's making the fact that he's in love with this girl, Yuzuki. He's making it seem like he can't be in love with her. He's making it seem like he's so mystified and so confused. Like, what has these feelings within me? What does it mean? And I'm just like, bro, you're in love. Like, you're in love with her. Like, you look at her and you're in love. Like, I don't know. Like, he's always represented as this really intelligent dude. But then the whole time we spend 15 minutes of him monologuing about festivals and how he feels and how girls, you know, would make him happy. And there's this girl in front of him and he's in love with her. And it's just so stupid. And he's obviously in love with this girl. And he just can't admit it, I guess, to himself. He's like, oh, 'tis be the tree of the lovers. But obviously this be fake. I don't know. Should I take her hand? It's like, dude, why are we Shakespeare here? Like, why are we making this a big thing? And the problem I have with that is the show keeps depicting him as this like super intelligent dude, and he's smart enough to realize that he's in love with her. So share that moment with her. You're at the age where the best thing you can find is love. And it's just so frustrating to spend all this time for him to maybe not even wake up or maybe realize it. Or maybe continue to play. He gets too deep, right? He tries to make everything a joke. Like, just say I love you. You know what I mean? Just be honest. Like, it's just so frustrating. And I get it. You know, you're a kid. You're stupid. You're dumb. But the show keeps depicting him as not that. And it makes this unenjoyable dance to watch. So I'm just frustrated with the way that it handled that. And you could take different moments, you know, when they were scooping the fish. You could take it when he was monologuing about festivals. You could take it about when he saw her in her yukata. You could take it about him being excited for their date and not calling it a date. You could take it as when they were, you know, sharing a meal together and he was staring her down. You could take it as when he was looking through the Ramune crystal glass thingy and he was just admit it. Like, you're effing in love, and it's just so frustrating. Anyways, I'll leave you guys on those thoughts. Episode 6 out of 10. I don't think it's gonna get much better than that. Show's really pretty though, so that's a benefit. But I do want to see the bully stalker thing. I do want to see that. I would like to see a good ending to that. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.